Hi there guys, my name is Tom and I am your personal headhunter. Today I want to give you a couple of really quick insights on things that us as headhunters hate. I want to talk to you about the stuff that drives us crazy, the things that candidates do and say that really doesn't help them in the process. Remember, we are actually, believe it or not, on your side. We are trying to help you get a job. Either we have contacted you, cold contacted, or been introduced or recommended to speak to you, or maybe you've reached out to us and have come to us and said, hey, I'm in the job market, I'm looking to change and I'd like to speak to you about opportunities. Either way, it's a mutual relationship. We are not trying to catch you out, we're not trying to trip you up, we are actually trying to help you. So let's dive into this, just a couple of things that happen or that are said that really grind our gears as headhunters. So one of the first things that is really a bit of a red flag actually, when we're headhunting at a senior level, when we're talking about executive levels, that's sort of VP, vice president and up into the C-suite. And I'm going to go through a jargon buster soon, so don't worry if you're not sure what that is, but that's the CEO, the CPO, CTO, anyone that's got a C title is in the C-suite. One of the things that we really find very annoying and quite irritating is when candidates are completely fixated on salary. I know it's really important and I know that sounds really bizarre. And in the modern world, a lot of people are like, well, if you're not going to pay us properly, then we're not interested. The fact is, if it's the only thing that a candidate is focused on, the chances are they are not the right person for the role. Now, what we typically do when we take a briefing from a client is we often, at a really senior level, we may not have a specific number in our minds, or we may not have been given a brief by the client about how much they are prepared or willing or able to pay the person. Oftentimes what will happen is we'll be given a brief and they will say to the client will brief us and say, look, speak to the market, find out what people are generally getting paid and how that is structured. Salary, base salary, bonus in the short term, bonus in the long term, maybe some equity as well. Find out what that structure is and we will then create an offer that's bespoke to the person. And it may be in line with what they're being currently paid, or it might be an uplift. It might be that they're getting paid less in cash compensation today, but they're given equity, which is an incentive for the future and the valuation of the business that could become multiple hundreds of thousands or even millions of pounds worth in value over the course of their career with that organization. But for clients, one of the hardest things to do is to give us a banding of salary, unless they're a really large organization, FTSE 100 listed business, or a government organization. For startups and scale-ups, it's very rare for them to give us a number and say, we'll pay £180,000 on the base, £50,000 on the bonus, and they'll get 1% equity. It very rarely happens like that. So if you're completely fixated on salary, for us, it's very, very difficult to actually help you because you may be getting paid significantly more than that and we don't want to waste your time. I completely get that. But at the same time, if you're the right candidate and that's the right company, they will come to some sort of arrangement that makes it work for you. And if it's a complete deal breaker, telling us your salary up front means that we can head that off. We can speak to the company and we can say, listen, this person's currently being paid £250,000. They are never going to go for a salary of 180, even with equity. And at that point, the client will say, that's a deal breaker for us. We can't go that high and we won't waste your time. So be prepared to share information and be prepared that sometimes you may not actually get that much information back from us, but we might be able to say to you, that's within the ballpark of what we're expecting. Okay, the second thing that is really very difficult for us to deal with as headhunters is when candidates are a bit shady or a bit sketchy about either their reasons for leaving their current employer or previous employers. It's generally not that good if you have had a string of very short stints. Typically, that's a bit of a red flag for us and for our clients because it suggests that you're not especially good at sticking at one thing. Maybe the situation gets tough. Maybe the role that you're in becomes difficult. Maybe you're a bit of an abrasive person and you tend to jump through roles. That's a bit of a red flag for everything. So what we would generally say is if there are reasons why you have shorter stints on your CV, deal with it up front. Be honest about it. If it was a cultural clash, explain that. And you can even, as the candidate, say, I'm looking for a culture and a sort of organization that looks like this, because I was working in one that looked like this and it was a real problem. I didn't enjoy it and I didn't flourish and they didn't get the best out of me, and here's why. Make sure that if there are reasons why you've left your organization, be honest and open and clear about it. Don't try and hide or obscure the reasons why, because it won't work in your favor. Third thing, this is the final point, try really hard as a candidate not to blame other people for failings. Clients and headhunters are perfectly understanding of failure. We all fail. In fact, if you haven't failed, you possibly haven't learned anything. So don't try to hide failure and blame failings on other people, because it actually comes across worse than if you were to turn around and say, you know what? I had a go at this. I tried, I launched my own startup and I got as much done as I could, but it didn't work, and here's what I learned from it. I ultimately failed, and here's what I came out of it understanding. Here's how I deepened my understanding of this topic, or here's what I learned about myself in the process. Don't try to hide your failings and don't try to blame other people for it. It's one of the worst things that I have had in my career as a headhunter, is to interview a candidate and then every time I asked them about something that might have gone wrong in their career, the first thing that they did was to say, well, it was this person's fault or it was that person's fault and I tried really hard, but ultimately that person made it impossible. Everybody has a part to play in the success or the failure of organizations or businesses. And it's really important as a candidate to accept that it's okay to fail, and that as long as you learn something from it and you can bring that through on your journey. So try to avoid blaming other people. I hope you found that helpful. I really hope that something in there was useful to you. I wanted to give you a very quick overview on 3 things that really drive us headhunters crazy. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell icon for more videos next time.